Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's section. Nice to have you. So this is one of the part one in the AI agent study series, and today we are going to be looking at the um, introductory part of the Azure AI agent. And we all are aware that the AI agent is taking wave, is making wave now in the developer world and even in our day-to-day life. So today we are starting the series on AI agents on Azure in particular, and we will be having our first speaker to in the person of Promise Wachuku. Promise Wachuku is Microsoft MVP, Microsoft Azure MVP in particular, and he has a wealth of experience around DevOps, cloud, and AI as well. And if you observe, he was one of those who represented the community at the recently concluded Microsoft Build in the United States. So, Promise, welcome. Nice to have you
Thank you
today.
very much, Imo. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Imo. And
You're
yeah,
welcome.
it was an awesome experience at the MS Build. And I mean, there were lots of wonderful announcements, I would say. Lots
Yeah.
of wonderful announcements. And I want to believe that as a community, one of the things we do is we try as much as possible to get on board on time,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
I believe the new rave right now is all about Azure AI agents. And what we want to do in particular is to get our community up to speed. We want
Yeah.
everyone talking about AI agents. So
Yeah.
thank you
That's
very
right.
much for that wonderful intro, Imo.
You're welcome. Nice to have you. So I'll be bringing up your screen
All right.
so that okay. Have the floor.
Awesome. Awesome.
Okay. Bye bye.
All right then. So everyone, today what we really want to focus on is everything about Azure AI agents. We want to do an introductory session, and we are going to be talking about AI agents in Azure. What is AI agents all about? Why AI agents? You know, what is the purpose of AI agents? That's something we're going to be discussing in our session today. And like I said, while I was having the introductory session with Ivor, I was like, as a community, we want a scenario or a system where everyone in the community understands what is currently going on in the cloud space. Now, for those of you who may have not been able to watch what happened at the Evans Build, right? One of the interesting things that we have, or one of the updates that was released, was a lot of, I would say, would I say inventions or updates around the AI foundry space, right? And amongst all of those updates shared with us by our able chairman, Nadella himself, was the the fact that AI agents is coming to stay, right? And I remember one of the things he mentioned was that in the next few years, we expect to build about 1.8 billion agents. 1.8 billion agents. So, as a community, if you are going to be part of this whole will I call it change or whole yeah, I will call it change that is going to be happening in the nearest future, then you need to understand what AI agents are all about. From a brief introduction, you can see here we say Azure AI agents represent a revolutionary step, right? A revolutionary step forward in enterprise automation. Combine advanced artificial intelligence capabilities with a robust Azure cloud ecosystem. What all of this is trying to say is this: AI agents are basically AI systems that help you with a lot of repetitive tasks within your organization or within your production processes, right? You can configure AI agents to assist you with some of these tasks in a very, I would say, one of the things it does is while doing this, it helps to slow down or reduce the amount of time you spend when, you know, in your during your production process or all of the activities you have to carry out. We'll be talking about several sections about AI agents, and then we'll move forward to like a practical session to see what is this all about. All right, I'll be moving on the next page on my slide. Yes, what are Azure AI agents? And by definition, you see here, Azure AI agent are sophisticated AI powered services designed to automate complex tasks and workflows within enterprise environments. Now, in making use of AI agents, there is one thing you would always have to discuss, right? Which is natural language processing, because this is at the core of the agent services. So you see here it says at their core, these agents utilize advanced natural language processing capabilities, allowing them to understand and respond to human queries in a conversational manner, right? So in at the core of all of these agentic services is natural language services processing, their ability to be able to understand and also give outputs that the normal human being can understand. Now, you would also have to make use of, or you would also have to come across what we call business IT bridge. This is generally just Azure agents, effectively bridging the gap between the business needs and what IT implementation. Therefore, enabling rapid development and deployment of intelligent solutions without requiring extensive coding knowledge. So, the truth is that whether you like it or not, AI agents are here to stay. The more or the faster you get to understand how it works and how to make use of it to increase your productivity and the output which you are giving out, the better for you, right? So let's go on with the slide. Now, what are some of the core features of AI agents, right? I mean, everyone is saying or mentioning AI agents, and one of the things we want to do is we want to understand what are some of these core features that the AI agent has. One, real-time support. So you can actually configure your agent to be available 247. Yes. So you can configure them in such a way, let's say for instance, through chat interfaces where probably someone comes on your website requiring a particular kind of information from you or from the service which you offer, and your agent has been configured to provide, I would say, in maybe default information like most of the frequently asked questions, right? Your agent can then scan through a set of database or a set of questions that may have been previously loaded to the agent, right? And then provide accurate answers to the person or the user who is trying to get that information. So that is one beautiful thing about the AI agents. Next, in terms of data insights, this agent can process and analyze large data sets quickly, extracting valuable insights that drive informed business decisions. So, as a business owner, as a what's the word? Someone who is in a position to make decisions. One of the things you want to be able to do is that you want to be able to ensure that you are making the right decisions in a what would I say, in an appropriate amount of time. Now imagine a tool that can help you make these right decisions faster, right? So that is one core feature of the Azure AI agent service. Another thing is the conversational memory, right? It says here, with secure context retention capabilities, Azure AI agent can remember previous interactions, right? Creating more natural and efficient conversations without requiring users to repeat information. So if it probably has had a discussion with you earlier in maybe in the last 7 days, they can be configured to have that memory. That memory can be there such that when you come back to ask another question, it doesn't have to repeat all of those details which you have previously discussed. Right? So that is one interesting thing about this. The next one is tool orchestration. Agents can coordinate with each other and leverage various tools, providing visibility into complex conversations and workflows across multiple systems and processes. Right? So, agents are able to help you orchestrate workflows. This is something we are going to be seeing in our demo session, right? How agents are able to help you, or orchestrate workflows, right? So we continue on the slide. Common use cases. What are the common use cases of AI agents? What are the common use cases of Azure AI agents? One, customer support automation. Two, knowledge based search. Three, data processing and analysis. Four, workflow automation. Now, in terms of customer support automation, if you remember earlier, I did mention this in scenarios where you run a chat system on your website and the agents have been configured with frequently asked questions and everything, or let me say most of the information about your business. Anyone who comes online to ask some questions, the agents are then able to provide real-time replies or feedback to anyone logging in on your website. So that is one very important use case for Azure AI agents. The next is the knowledge based search. So you can configure your AI agents to help you go through, let's say, a certain kind of research about some certain topic, right? And then it can help you summarize those details, give action points, what is recommended from your own point of view, right? And how you can implement whatever was found in the research, right? So, depending on the instructions you configure your AI agent with, you are definitely going to be seeing some of these features. The other one is the data processing and analysis, right? So you can leverage your AI agent to be able to process a large amount of data and generate comprehensive reports and visualization that can highlight key trends and insights for decision makers. So your AI agents can help you in analyzing data and giving you trends of what is happening in the sector where you work, right? And based on this fact, you can then make appropriate decision. And the last but not the least is the workflow automation, right? So one of the things that the AI agent does is that it can be configured in a certain way to carry out a set of tasks. So you could say task one, I want you to go online, search for this topic for me. Task two, I need you to summarize all of those materials you've gotten. And task three, I need you to convert them to a Word format and read them out for me. Some of these different workflows you can implement in your Azure AI configuration. All right, moving ahead. So we have the what's it called, the setup options, right? So how do you set up your models, right? I'm sure you're wondering, Azure AI Foundry Portal. What is Azure AI Foundry Portal? What is the basic setup, what's the standard setup, and what's the development environment. And here I provided you with the definitions of some of these things. What is Azure AI Foundry Portal? It is the access you can access the Azure Agent Service through the Azure AI Foundry portal, and it is currently available in public preview for what all users, right? Now, for the basic setup, you can choose a Microsoft managed resource for a quick start with minimal what configuration, right? And then also for a standard setup, you can bring your own Azure resources for greater control over deployment, scaling, and cost management. Wow, it says this approach offers a more customization option for enterprise needs. So, depending on you, if you have existing resources, you can bring them in, onboard them in, and be able to make use of the service. The next one is the development environment, which provides some form of access to development tools and SDKs that help to extend, and customize your agent according to your what specific business requirements, right? So based on your specific business requirements, you can then proceed or to create your what development environment. Now let's proceed with the slide. Okay. Integration with Azure ecosystem. Now, one of the things you want to be able to do is that you want to be able to integrate successfully with the Azure ecosystem, because before you even create, or let me say, before you authenticate into your AI Foundry portal, you need to, there's some certain steps you need to take prior to that. One, you need to first of all create a user in your AI Foundry portal, right? Or possibly authenticate with your previous, if you had a previous subscription or all of those things, you can authenticate through that, right? So that is one way that helps also with integration with your existing resources, right? So here it says seamlessly connect with storage, search, and functions, right? And then for the data source connectivity, connect to internal and external repositories. So this is one beautiful thing about making use, or you're integrating with your what your Azure AI Foundry agents. Now it says here, Azure AI agent offer powerful integration capabilities that extend their familiarity across the entire Azure ecosystem, right? So you can see it has that powerful integration capability to be able to do all of that. So that is one of the ways which enables integration with the Azure ecosystem. Now let's get to the next slide. customization and extensibility. So one of the things this does is that it helps you to customize your resources. Um, it could be, you know, different resources you have in Azure, and maybe you want to have a tailor-made kind of series or event, or something tailor-made to what you're producing or what you're working on, right? Then you get to see the this is where you get to see the custom workflow. And then before you start talking about tools of integration and how you can manage the various environments where you are building your services. All right, so now on to the next slide. Choosing models and tools. What is the reason behind choosing models and tools? Why should I choose a model, or why should I choose a tool? Right? So it says here, AI models select from what? Microsoft ChatGPT 4.0, also Cohere and Mistral models based on your specific requirement for performance, cost, and capabilities, right? So that is one interesting thing for the AI models. And two is the code interpreter. Implement secure Python execution environment that enables agents, right, to process data, create virtualizations, and perform complex calculations, right? That's what the code interpreter does. Now, for search tools, you have a lot of things ranging from integrating your Bing search for your web information or Azure AI service, right? Awesome. So now we've been able to talk through some major sections or topics pertaining to what Azure AI agents. Now let's go off one of the slides to see what are the best practices and security measures that one can take when making use of this Azure AI agent services. One is the data privacy. Two, you're talking about the managed subscriptions and efficient scaling, right? These all come together to actually form what we are talking in terms of best practices, right? So for data privacy, you want to implement strict controls over conversational memory and data handling to ensure sensitive information remains protected. So that is one special um, thing which you have to do to ensure that everything is going smoothly with the Azure AI agent services. Now moving on. All right, exploring Azure AI Foundry, building your first agent, and sure, expand and integrate. Um, all of this we will do in our what practical session. Good, awesome. Now we are done with our labs. We will then focus on building our Azure AI agents. All right. Good. Let me. Okay, I think I need to. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Good. So now let's talk about how do we create these agents. How do we create these agents? Um, I know that, or let me say, what I am reasoning is this: for you to be able to set up an Azure AI agent, there are some key things which you need to possess, right? Especially in Azure, I think the very first one, as we know, would be our subscription. That is one key thing you need to possess, an Azure subscription. Now, let me share my screen and show you something around that. Okay, good. Now, one of the things you want to do is you want to be able, right, to share a particular subscription. So let's go on to um our AI founder. So you can go to what? ai.azure.com. That's the link for you to go to. ai.azure.com. So this is the link that houses all of the agents you want to build, all of the agents the resources you would like to work on when it comes to Azure AI agents, right? Now, I must mention this, that even though we are talking all about the Azure AI agent services, there is still a lot to be done. Yes, there is still a lot to be done. What do I mean by this? There are some regions where some agents don't work perfectly well. That's because some of those regions are not yet supported. So that's the reason why you have such scenarios, right? So I think, yeah, good. Let me do this. I'll take this out here. Okay, good. Now I'll bring this here. Good. Okay, so I'll take this up here. Now we have the Azure portal that is responsible for hosting your AI agents. This is the portal responsible for hosting your what? Your AI agents. Now, one of the things you want to be able to do firstly is just scan through. Now, um, if you were in my position, where in case you had multiple subscriptions, right? So if by any reason you have multiple subscriptions, when you open your azure.ai.com, one of the things you want to do is you want to ensure that you have a default subscription tied to your Azure AI account, right? That's one of the things you want to do. One of the very first things you want to do. You have to ensure that you have the default subscription that is tied to your what? Your Azure AI services. So in my own scenario, when I got here, I had some challenges with um logging in because it was telling me I needed to create a new subscription, right? And all of that was because in here, if you click on here, you will see what is called switch directory. Now, if for any reason your default directory that has the details of your Azure subscription is not attached here, then you may have some issues when you try to log in. Otherwise, the next thing you could do is you could just, if you have an existing subscription that works, you could just come here, click on switch subscription, and select the subscription in particular which you would like to work with. Now, the next thing you want to do before you do anything is that you need to ensure that on the portal, you need to ensure that on your Azure portal you have certain um, permissions. You need to ensure that on the Azure portal you have certain permissions. And the reason I'm saying this is if you don't, you would experience some errors while deploying your models, right? So one of the roles you need to have in your subscription is something like this, right? you want to ensure you have this role. So you just need to check here, role assignments, and you put something like this AI. No, okay. You check for roles, the available roles you have, right? AI. Good. So this is the role in question that you want to ensure you have, the Azure AI account owner. Now, if you don't have this role assigned to you in your Azure portal, you will most likely experience some errors when you try to create an agent. You will most likely experience some errors when you try to create an agent. So, one of the things you want to do is you want to ensure that you have all the necessary permissions here, just like the Azure AI account owner, right? This is what will then enable you be able to manage your resources in the AI agent portal. So once that is done and stored aside, then you can then proceed back to the portal, the Azure AI portal. Now, the next thing you want to do is, for instance, right? You can see by default I have some existing models, right, in my Azure AI Foundry. I have some existing models, right? But here you can see all resources. These are the models I currently have. And then you can create one. You can create one. So you see here, you see what it says. Start by choosing a resource type. Do you want an Azure AI Foundry resource or do you want a hub resource? Now, because of what we want to do, we have to go to the Azure AI Foundry resource, right? So you click on that. Good. Then the next thing it wants to do is that it wants to then ask you for what is the name of your project. What agent project are you going to make use of? That is the next thing you want to do, because all of your deployment will be stored inside of this particular project. So for this scenario, I will name my project. I can just say Azure Nigeria. I can say Azure Nigeria projects. That is one thing I would say just to depict this particular session. Now, when doing this, you need to also ensure you pick the right subscription. You need to always ensure you pick the right subscription, and also in terms of scenarios where your region is not supported, you need to look for the right region and then have it included in your configuration. Now, like I mentioned to you, some regions have not been activated yet. So I believe as the service keeps processing and progressing, we will then see some of those agents being included, right? So here, what I want to do is I want to take this to somewhere around the US, say central of the US. Can yeah, I can change my location to that. I can change this to that. All right. So, well, one of the things we can do, I'm not seeing other central here, so I will just pick East US. I will just pick East US as my region, and then I want to create a new resource group, so I will just do this. I'll just do this and say Azure Nigeria projects. Yeah, Nigeria.
I promise. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you increase the font size of the of your browser
Oh,
a bit?
okay. I hope this helps.
Yes, yes, better. Thank you.
Okay, so one of the things you want to do is that you want to, yeah, create a resource group for your projects. Now, once you've done all this, you see, the first thing you need to do is you need to create the name of the project, right? You also want to choose a subscription where your project is going to be hosted on, a resource group in that subscription, and also, well, this name is kind of gotten from the combination of this and the location or the region, right? And the location or the region. By default, public internet access is what is provided by default. Now, once I have done this, I can then proceed to set up my Azure AI Foundry environment. So now you can see that my Azure AI Foundry environment is being created. And then it's once it then creates this, it's going to provide you with like some default agents, agents that have already existed that you can make use of, right? Agents that already exist that you can make use of to configure, all of the things you want to do, right? Um, Currently, there is a there are just very few number of agents available right now. I think I have a link to that. I can share I can share the link to that. So currently what we have as AI agent is this. 1 minute. Good. Resources. What we currently have as AI agents can be seen here. AI agents. AI agents. Yeah, I'm just trying to get you that resource. Good, good. Okay, good. So in this document I'm sending or I'm sharing with the community, you will find the list of supported models for agent workflows, right? So there's a kind of a limit we currently have right now. I know that in the future we'll have lots of models and all of that, but for now we have about 7 supported models for agent workflow, right? And you can see all of that in this resource, which I am now sharing with you all. One moment. Okay, I think I can put it in here for everyone. Yeah. So I have just shared the link now with everyone, which basically tells us, right, the various models we currently have for workflows, right? So if you come to the link here, you will see here, you can see create workflows that use AI agents and models to complete tasks in Azure Logic apps. And then it gives us the currently supported type of models. So it's, your agent can be built on a model, right? With the model supporting the agent, right? And you can see here there are some limitations as well, right? Which we'll be discussing as we go on. So, but in the meantime, what you will notice now is this: my environment is set up, right? You can see my subscription ID. You can see my API key. You can see the endpoints for my Foundry, right? And then you can see other suggestions and all of that. Now, you can scroll down to the model catalog. The model catalog is usually where you will see all of those existing models that are currently supported. And you can also scroll down to the playground to try how your image would work out like. How will your image work out like? You can try that here in the playground. Then you can see when I click on the agents tab, one of the things you notice is that it 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 says I don't have any core agents deployed on this project so far, right? So remember, the first thing that we did was to make use of just set up the Azure Foundry environment. Now, when you now want to create an agent, the first thing you want to do is you have to then select what your agent is, what model is your agent going to work on, or what model is going to be at the back of your agent. What model will be supporting your agent? So in this particular scenario, I'll be picking GPT 4.1 as the model to support my agents. And in here, you can see the various features of GPT 4.1, all of the things it can do, and this is how you then learn to make use of it. And then you'll be able to see series like this. You can see resources that can guide you on um, how do you go about your models or your agents. How do you go about making use of them? So those are some of the resources that are available for you to go through. So now I will proceed now to confirm and say yes, I am okay with that. And now it's going to ask me what deployment type do I want. By default, you get the data zone standard, but then you can also select other types of standards you want depending on your what you want to build and what you're working on. So for now, I'll go to with the data zone standard, right? And I will then proceed to deploy. You see, all of these warnings is giving is telling me that okay, my resource group is in the East US, so therefore my data will reside within East US, all of those information. And then here you can see the name, the version of your model, the capacity, and the content safety, right? And then you can also see the name of the connected AI resource. So now we go towards deploy. So now we are going to be deploying our model, our agent, sorry. So remember we said that the agent makes use of a model, right? The agent makes use of a model. So right now we've been able to successfully deploy the agent, and the agent itself is making use of the model from GPT 4.1, right? So here, in here, with this agent, you can then customize, you can give instructions to your agent on what you want it to do, right? You can set up, you can see here, agent description, you can see knowledge 0 for now, action 0 for now, connection 0 for now, right? Connected agent 0 for now, you can see. So you can set up your model settings, temperature, topic, voice, enable your agent as well. These are one of the wonderful things you can do with your what? Azure AI agents, right? So the next thing is this, let's play around with our agents, right? Now we have an agent. Let's play around with our agent and what can we do with our agents. So let's see. What can we do with, okay, we can go on the playground, right? You can go on the playground here and then, okay, let me see. I think there's a way I can load it from here under the agents. There was, okay, let's go to the voice. Okay, this is for the voice playground. Give me a moment. I don't want to come to the voice playground. I want to go to the default playground for the agent. There's usually a button for this. Oh, this is it here. Try in playground. Sorry, I was wondering where that button was. So what you can do to test, just give some test scenario of your agent, what your agent can do, right? You can just do a quick check here. Remember, this is based on GPT 4.1, right? So let's try to see how we can uh, uh, um, um, just do some minor checks on our agent. So one of the things you can do is you can say what. Let's give you the question. What is the best way to present your CV for a job application? Right, this is just a sample prompt, right, just to test that the agent works fine, right? And also remember that one of the other things you can do is that when building your code, for instance, say um, when building your code, your agent can also help you out with your what you're building on or what you're working on. Your agent can also help you out with that. So that's one thing you have to know, right? So you can see it's provided us with an answer. You can see the best way to present your CV for a job application is to make it clear, concise, tailored, and professional, right? So you can see all of the instructions, or I would say prompts it has given us, and you can see it provides us with an example layout of what the CV should look like, right? And then it says in summary, you can do this, you can do that. So that is one of the beautiful things you can do. Now, I know that time is far gone, but what I want you to do is I want you to be able to play around with this and have an idea on what to work with. Now, let's go to templates. Now, for in the template, one of the beautiful things done here is a template of all of the workflow has been provided for you, right? You can see here for getting started with AI agents, there is a workflow in GitHub, right? So you can come here, you can read through this and carry out the step-by-step exercise on how you can configure a workflow. You can set up a proper workflow end to end, and how your agent can help you to carry out some kind of task. So this is an example workflow of what you can do. And of course, all the code needed is provided in the repository. Every code you need is provided in the repository. So that's one thing you have to know about this. So you can come here and do a, I would say, more like test yourself and see how you can make use of an agent. So before our next session, because the agent is a series, and we'll be having other MVPs come on board to talk about AI, Azure AI agents, right? And we also want you to get on board and have a basic understanding with how this works. So this is going to be your assignment. Getting started with what? AI agents. I want you to go through this. I've shared the link here in in the in the chat. I want you to go through and see how you can build your agent. So a workflow has been provided for you here. You can see what the architecture looks like. Then you will see how you can make use of your AI agents in your projects, right? How it can help you resolve, or let me say, enhance your work process or your work procedure. So I think at this point in time, we will stop here for now, right? And we'll proceed in our next session on the next series on what? Azure AI agents. I don't know if there are any questions so far. Any questions? Yes, any questions? Any questions so far? In case you are wondering what is the link, I've shared the link on the setup page. I want you to go there and play around with how do you get started with your AI agents. I want you to see if you can be able to set up this infrastructure with the current scenario we have and how that works for you, so that in our next session you'll be better prepared to understand what the MVP is going to be discussing with you. All right, Imo, I
Mm,
see that there are no other questions.
sure. There are no other there are no question promised. Thank you very much for that wonderful presentation. And to encourage the audience, please try to make yourself available next for the next section. I think we have about two sections ahead of us, right? So let's try and make ourselves available where we are going to be di- diving in more into AI agents. And as we all know, the AI agent has come to stay. And
Yeah.
in fact, we have the copilot at the front end, which we interact with, that assist us. But when it comes to agents have the capability of taking action on our behalf, handling our tasks on our behalf. So thank you very much, Promise, for your wonderful presentation, and we hope to see you all next week. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you all. Bye bye all.
Bye bye.